Have you ever been alone at home and felt an inexplicable sense of dread? What if that feeling wasn't just in your head? What if it was real? This is a story submitted by one of our viewers, and it left me absolutely speechless. I'm someone who prides themselves on being independent. I like my alone time, and rarely feel the need to surround myself with people. But my independence can also be my downfall. I tend to dismiss warning signs, thinking I can handle anything on my own. Despite my independence, I've always had a fear of being watched. It's irrational, I know. But whenever I'm alone, especially at night, I can't shake the feeling that there might be eyes on me, observing my every move. One weekend, I decided to stay in and enjoy some quiet time. My roommates were out of town, and I relished the idea of having the whole house to myself. The evening was uneventful. I watched some TV, cooked dinner, and settled into bed with a good book. Around midnight, I started hearing strange noises coming from downstairs. At first, I thought it was just the house settling, or maybe the wind. But then I heard it again, a distinct creaking sound, like someone stepping on the wooden floorboards. My heart started racing, but I told myself it was nothing. I got up to check, feeling a bit foolish. As I reached the top of the stairs, the lights flickered and then went out completely. I was plunged into darkness. My phone was in my room, so I used the flashlight on it to navigate. The beam of light cut through the darkness, but it also cast eerie shadows that played tricks on my mind. I reached the bottom of the stairs and peered into the living room, but there was nothing there. The house was silent. Just as I was about to turn back, I heard a loud crash from the kitchen. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. Slowly, I made my way to the kitchen, each step feeling like it took an eternity. When I got there, I saw the window wide open, and the cold night air was blowing the curtains wildly. Suddenly, I felt a presence behind me. Before I could react, I was grabbed from behind and a hand clamped over my mouth. I struggled, trying to break free, but the grip was too strong. I was pulled backward, and everything went dark. When I came to, I was lying on the kitchen floor, disoriented and terrified. My phone was nowhere to be found, and I realized I had no way to call for help. The house was eerily silent again, and it took me a moment to gather my thoughts. I stumbled to my feet and checked the front door. It was locked, and there was no sign of forced entry. I managed to find my phone under the couch, and I immediately called the police. They arrived quickly and conducted a thorough investigation. There were no signs of a break-in, and no fingerprints other than my own were found. It was as if the intruder had vanished into thin air. Despite the lack of evidence, the police took my report seriously. They recommended I stay somewhere else for a few days, which I gladly did. I stayed with a friend, still shaken by the experience. A few days later, I returned home, hoping to move past the incident. But the moment I stepped inside, I felt that same eerie sensation, like I was being watched. I checked every room, every closet, but found nothing. I installed security cameras around the house and made sure every door and window was locked before I went to bed. But no matter what I did, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was never truly alone. To this day, I don't know who or what was in my house that night. But one thing is certain. Sometimes, the scariest things are the ones we can't see. Be vigilant, trust your instincts, and remember, evil can lurk in the most unexpected places. Have you ever felt completely safe in your own home, only to have that sense of security shattered in an instant? This is a story submitted by one of our viewers, and it's a chilling reminder that danger can come from the most unexpected places. I've always been a creature of habit. I like my routines and feel comforted by the familiar. But my biggest flaw is my tendency to be complacent. I often overlook minor details, believing that nothing bad will ever happen to me. Despite my love for routine, I have a deep-seated fear of the unknown. The idea of something or someone disrupting my safe, predictable world terrifies me. I never thought this fear would become a reality. One night I was home alone. My partner was away on a business trip, and I decided to spend the evening catching up on work. The house was quiet, almost too quiet. Around midnight, I decided to call it a night and headed to bed. Just as I was drifting off to sleep, I heard a noise coming from downstairs. It sounded like a door creaking open. My heart skipped a beat, but I tried to convince myself that it was just the wind or the house settling. I lay there, listening intently, but the noise stopped. I got up to check, feeling a mixture of fear and annoyance. As I reached the top of the stairs, I saw a shadow move across the wall. My breath caught in my throat, and I felt a surge of panic. I slowly made my way downstairs, my eyes darting around for any sign of movement. The house was dark, and every creak of the floorboards seemed amplified. I reached the bottom of the stairs and turned on the lights, but everything seemed normal. Just as I was about to head back to bed, I felt a sudden rush of cold air. I turned around and saw the back door wide open. My heart pounded as I walked towards it, trying to figure out how it had opened. Before I could react, I felt a sharp pain in my side and was pushed to the ground. A masked figure loomed over me, brandishing a knife. I fought back, kicking and screaming, but the intruder was relentless. I managed to break free and scrambled to my feet, running towards the front door. I made it outside and ran to my neighbor's house, banging on the door for help. They let me in, and I called the police. When they arrived, they searched my house but found no sign of the intruder. There were no fingerprints, no clues, nothing to indicate who had attacked me. The police took my statement and promised to keep an eye on the neighborhood. I stayed with my neighbor that night, too scared to go back home. The next day, I had the locks changed and installed a security system. Days turned into weeks, and I tried to move on from the incident. But every time I was alone, I felt a lingering sense of unease. I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching me, waiting for the right moment to strike again. One night I was jolted awake by the sound of the security alarm. I grabbed my phone and called the police, my heart racing. They arrived quickly and searched the house, but once again, there was no sign of an intruder. I reviewed the security footage the next day and saw a shadowy figure lurking outside my window. The police increased their patrols in the area, but the figure was never caught. To this day, I don't know who attacked me or why, but the experience left me shaken and always on edge. Remember, even in the safety of your own home, you're not always alone. Stay vigilant, trust your instincts, and never let your guard down. What if the place you thought was your sanctuary turned into a nightmare? This is a real story submitted by one of our viewers, and it's a terrifying reminder that sometimes the danger is closer than we think. I've always considered myself a bit of a night owl. I enjoy the quiet and solitude of the late hours, but my biggest flaw is my tendency to be overly trusting. I never lock my doors or windows, believing that nothing bad could happen in my safe neighborhood. Despite my trust in my surroundings, I've always had an underlying fear of being caught off guard. The thought of someone invading my personal space while I'm unaware sends shivers down my spine. Little did I know, that fear would become a reality. One night I was home alone, working late into the night. My housemates were out of town, and I enjoyed having the place to myself. I had my headphones on, listening to music while I worked, oblivious to the outside world. Around 2 a.m. I decided to take a break and get a snack. As I walked into the kitchen, I noticed something strange. The back door was slightly ajar. My heart skipped a beat, but I brushed it off, thinking I must have forgotten to close it properly. I closed the door and locked it, feeling a bit uneasy. As I walked back to my room, I thought I saw a shadow move out of the corner of my eye. I turned quickly, but there was nothing there. My mind was playing tricks on me, I told myself. I tried to get back to work, but the uneasy feeling wouldn't go away. Every little noise seemed amplified, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. I took off my headphones and listened, but the house was silent. Just as I was starting to relax, I heard a noise behind me. I turned around and saw a figure standing in the doorway of my room. My blood ran cold. The figure stepped forward, and I could see they were holding a knife. I jumped up, my chair clattering to the floor. The intruder lunged at me, and I barely managed to dodge. I ran out of the room, my heart pounding in my chest. I made it to the front door, but it was locked, and my hands were shaking too much to unlock it. I ran to the living room and grabbed my phone, dialing 911 with trembling hands. The intruder was right behind me, but I managed to barricade myself in the bathroom. The police arrived within minutes, but it felt like an eternity. They searched the house but found no sign of the intruder. There were no fingerprints, no clues. It was as if they had vanished into thin air. The police took my statement and assured me they would investigate, but there was little they could do without any evidence. I stayed with a friend for a few days, too scared to be alone. When I finally returned home, I installed new locks and a security system. But no matter what I did, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. A few weeks later, I received a call from the police. They had caught someone trying to break into another house in the neighborhood, and they believed it was the same person who had attacked me. The relief I felt was immense, but the fear never fully went away. Even though the intruder was caught, I still feel uneasy at night. It's a reminder that we're never truly safe, even in our own homes. Stay vigilant, trust your instincts, and never let your guard down. You never know what might be lurking in the shadows. Thank you for listening to my story. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you have any real-life experiences you'd like to share, leave them in the comments below. Who knows, your story might be the next one I tell. Until then, stay safe.